Hey guys, Sixth here from Bash Brothers again to continue my tutorial. This is part 2. So where we left off was we found our folder and we talked about different buttons and things like that. And now what we're going to do is create some custom units that we're going to eventually load up into the game. So to do that, we're going to go to Learn, into the Virtual Arsenal. And then from here, we'll be able to really customize our character to however we want to for whatever mission we want to do. So here's a preview of what our character would look like. On the left is all the things that we get to select. So first thing we'll do is we'll choose what gun. I'm thinking we'll make a pretty standard. We'll play as, Americans. So what do Americans need? Or the AR. That's a cool looking gun. We'll use the AR. For the scopes, really doesn't matter. That's kind of ridiculous. Go with the woodland. Don't need any of that, don't need any of that. Doesn't need a launcher. HK's fine. Uniform. Yeah, we'll go with this for now, that's fine. And then for the chest character, or chest rig, we'll go with, what am I using, USN? We'll just go with the vest. Headgear. I kind of like the look of that, to be honest. That looks pretty cool, but it's not accurate. I'll just go with that, that's fine. Night visions. That, sure. Give them binoculars, a map. I don't like GPS, no GPS. This is all fine, that's all fine. Alright, so we have our character. If we click on uniform or vest or backpack, we can put stuff in them. So in the uniform, he's got some stanag rounds and 2 first aid kits. He only needs 1. In the vest, we got some more ammo. We got a grenade. I'll give him a smoke grenade. That's all fine. Let's see how he looks. He's got a bunch of shit. He doesn't need all this, so I'm gonna dump this. Doesn't need that either. Okay. So if you dump stuff while you're like testing, it won't actually be in there anymore when you go back to the arsenal. So now that flashlight and silencer that I dropped on the ground won't be in there. So alright, so we got our character, everything we want to have him. He all of his ammo and shit like that. What we do is we click the export right here. Alright, so now what we have to do. So we go to our folder here, which we navigated to in the last tutorial. We'll create a new folder. It's going to be called loadouts. Double click on that. And then there's a few files that you guys are going to need to get. And I got them both right here. So the first is Notepad++. You don't need these things, but I highly recommend them. And then you'll need the ArmA3 Notepad++ syntax. Just makes it cleaner when you're coding, makes it look nicer, makes it a lot easier too, in my opinion. So I'll include both of these links in the description, and you guys will need to download those. But once you have Notepad++ downloaded, you're going to go ahead and open it and create a new. And all we have to do now is just paste. So this is what our arsenal copied over. And I'm gonna save this as, we'll navigate to our folder. That's not it. That's it. Loadouts. And we'll name this agent 1, it doesn't really matter. And then .sqf. So since we named it as an SQF, it changed to my SQF syntax, which will be the thing that you download. Otherwise, you can just hit Control A language and go to, Arma or whatever you'll save it as. I've got a couple here. So now that we have it in, we have it saved. It's in our folder as well. There's a few things that we need to change. First, anything that says comment, let's get rid of it. Delete that. We don't need that. We don't need that either. Or that. We definitely don't need this down here, which just sets the identity and the face and the voice. We all like to leave that for the player to decide. The next thing that we'll need to do, and the last thing, is everything that says this, which, as you can see, it highlighted everything for me now as I just selected one of them, we'll need to change to player. So a faster way of doing this is selecting one of them, hitting Control H. What are we finding? This. What are we replacing it with? Player. Replace all. And bada bing, bada boom. It's done. Let's go ahead and save that. Okay. So we're only going to make one person now, but that's how you make all of them. And if you want to make different kinds, you'll just save it as Agent 2 or whatever naming convention you want to do. But now we'll go ahead and open up our mission. Open. Test. We'll start at the marina. Why not? So we're going to click on our units here. And units are anything that can be spawned. So a player on Blue 4, Op 4, Civilian, Independent, Ambient Life, and empties, and game logic. But we'll get into those last two a little bit later. So we're going to select a Blue 4, a NATO, and a Rifleman. Special is not important, we'll leave that at none. And we'll make sure he's at the player. The name, not really important right now, but in the future it will be, so we'll just put P1 there. We'll leave nothing at his initialization. The description is what shows up when you're slotting in on like the multiplayer screen. By default it'll say Rifleman, but we'll change this to Alpha Team Leader. And I guess we might as well change this to the team leader as well, just so we can stay. And then this up here is what his ID is, and it's very important for what we're about to do. So we're going to go ahead and select all of that and copy it with Control C. Then we'll click OK. And then we're going to go back to our Notepad++, and we're going to create a new, and we're going to save this as in our root folder, init.sqf. Let's make sure that it shows up. Sure enough, it's there. Okay. And there's a little bit of code that we need to do here, but I'll walk you through it. So starting off, anything with 2 slashes are called comments. Doesn't affect your code. It's strictly there for reminding you of what something might do. So we're just going to put init for initialization in the comment. And then we'll start off by saying if. We're creating an if statement. If the exclamation point here is not, so if is not, and then we're going to put is dedicated. So if the server is not dedicated, then, and we'll put an open curly bracket, tab over to make it clean and easy to read, wait until, which is pretty much as it says, bracket, curly bracket, is not null. So this is saying if it is not null, so if it's there essentially, and if our player is there, then we've got our first if statement. So If the server's not dedicated, then we'll wait until the player's there, and from here we'll create a switch type of player. Open curly bracket. Put up some more comments here, and this will be for our blue 4 team. In this case, it will be put 2 parentheses here, and inside those parentheses we'll go ahead and paste what we copied earlier. So basically, if it's that player, which is the team leader, more curly brackets, exec VM, which is when you use this to call any script, and we're going to call our agent 1, which was located in loadouts / what is the name? Oh, agent. Agent 1, of course. And .sqf. Close that bracket off. Got still a couple brackets open here, like that we need to close. These 2, I believe. We're going to go ahead and close those off. Alright. So to reiterate here, we're going to switch in the type of a player, that team leader by default, to our custom script. And the script that we created was, we're going to have him remove all of those weapons and items, and we're going to put in all of our custom weapons and items in gear. Let's go ahead and save that. And once again, we'll make sure that we got everything right. So, loadouts, agent 1, init's here. Okay, everything's saved. Go back to our mission file and test it out. Save it. And we'll hit preview. And then voila! We don't start with that NATO gear. We start with what we created in the editor. Of course, this backpack is just part of our mod, but that won't be there if we had a custom backpack, but we didn't. So this is our character, and this is what other people will see and also be if you add more players. And this is what we're going to use moving on for the editor. Okay. Next time we'll begin setting up our briefing and our tasks and continue on with the mission.